me, Mario. Hello.
Super Mario 64 is the first video game I ever played, and I hold it at a very high regard. It was the first game I've ever played, and just imagine you're a kid in 1996 playing this game for the first time after the Nintendo 64 just came out like yesterday. This game would look gorgeous. And while I did play this game in like 2010 when I was like 4 years old, I thought this game looked astonishing. Absolutely breathtaking. This was one of the best looking games I have ever seen up until that point. It was one of the only games I've seen up until that point. But I'm here to tell you why this game has aged horribly and why you should The game's story is, well, it's a Super Mario story. Do you expect fucking Last of Us writing? Well, yeah. Bowser stole all the power stars, and, yeah. These stars connect people to the castle, and, yeah, they're stuck here. You can, so you have to collect all power stars to defeat Bowser and save the castle. That's the game's story. I mean, it's Super Mario. What did you expect? The first level is Bob-omb Battlefield, and I'd say this is the most iconic 3D Mario stage ever. It is just really good. I cannot deny that this stage is well designed, well crafted, teaches you very well how good your gameplay, how good you are at certain things. Like, it will test you at some points. It is a very easy stage to get all the power stars in. It's not hard. It's just really good, just in general. If I were to recommend this game to you, definitely play this. It is a well-crafted game. Not for its time. For its time, it was a really good game. Now, it's okay, but not as good as it used to be. But, yeah, this game is good. This level and all other 15 worlds in this game are well-crafted, well-made, and well-designed. And they're all big open playgrounds. This was the common thing in the 90s with Mario games. So yeah, there's 6 power stars plus 1 power star in every stage. The 6 power stars are all for missions. You do a mission, you complete a mission, you get a power star. But that plus 1 ring, that plus 1 star is for collecting 100 coins in a specific stage. You can collect them any way you like. You can collect all the all the red star coins. You can collect all the yellow coins. You can collect all the blue coins. As long as you get 100 coins, you'll be getting that star. And the star appears wherever you were the last time you got that star. So, if you were to fail, for instance, like if you were to spawn the star in a place that is unreachable, you're gonna have to restart the stage all over again.
Here we go.
The first boss is Bowser. Yeah, Bowser. The first boss stage is Bowser in the Dark World, and it's a pretty good first boss. I mean, it teaches you exactly what you're getting into with this. Like, once you do this, you know what's gonna happen for the next two bosses. Cause every main boss in this game is just Bowser, but with less, you know, with more stuff. I'm not gonna, talk about anything relating to the other bosses just yet, but I'm just gonna say this boss is pretty good. I'd say this stage is a lot better than the boss, because while the boss is fine enough, it is a tad bit short. It's a tad too easy, even though it's supposed to be the final boss, and even though it's supposed to be the first boss. Yeah, it's pretty predictable and easy. It's not very hard, and I don't really like it to begin with anyways. But yeah, let's get on with the actual stage. So Bowser in the Dark World is a really good stage. I'd say it's the best one out of the three. Well, actually, I would not say that, not once. You cannot convince me, you cannot tell me that Bowser in the Dark World is better than the last Bowser stage. This is the true best. This is the second best, in my opinion. Bowser in the Fire World being the worst, because it's not very good, honestly. It's, well, what I can say is that, yeah, the bosses in this game are mostly the same thing, just different enough to warrant, like, something, like, they're different enough to be their own bosses. That's what I can say.
Here we go!
The second boss is Bowser in the Fire World, and it's honestly not that good. It's the most mediocre stage in the game. It's honestly a really gimmicky, a really boring, a really mediocre stage, to be honest. It's not as good as the other. Like, while all of them are a bit more platforming heavy than the main stages, this one takes platforming to the absolute extreme. It's not hard at all. I'm not saying it's hard. I'm saying it's tedious. It's not very fun either. It's just... it's the most mediocre thing they could do with this character. It's the most mediocre thing they could do with the stage. You have an idea that is really good. Bowser in what is literal hell, and you choose to do this with it. Make a mediocre, boring stage out of that great idea. I mean, I'll give them some credit. This was their first 3D Mario game, and after this, the levels start getting pretty platforming heavy, especially in the later stages. We'll discuss those ones later. But yeah, the boss in this is about the same, with barely anything to call it different from the other fight. And besides the fact that it's in fire, it's all engulfed in flames, it's not really that good of a stage, honestly. I'd much rather play Bowser in the dark world than Bowser in the fire world. It's just not as good. That's all I will say, and that's all I'm going to say. That's all I can say, too. With this game's increasing weird type, I don't know what to call this level. Besides mediocre, generic, boring platforming, it's really nothing special. Hey, but at the very least, they at least made a decent boss. Which, when it comes to talking about this game, you don't see very often. Because this game is not very good with bosses. In fact, I'd say it has the most generic, mediocre bosses of any Mario game ever. I'd say this is the second best boss. They get better as they go on. Now, Bowser can run, and he can shake the center, this thing. He can do that now. That's cool. You can also run and teleport. But that's all of it. That's it. That's just the entire fight. Alright, let's get this all out of the way. Rainbow Ride is the most infamous stage in the game. Not because it's really good. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's infamous because it's really fucking terrible. This quite possibly is the worst stage in this entire game. You know how I said that Mario 64 gets very platform heavy near the end of the game? This is a perfect example of what I was talking about. Tick-Tock Clock is also a very good example of that. Both of these stages, in fact, every stage on the top floor of Peach's Castle is super unnecessarily large, and just overall really dumb. They should be like this, and they're too hard, they're too long for their own good. It takes forever to get back to getting back to these things. It takes forever, especially in Tick-Tock Clock, because every time you collect a star in this game, you get booted back to the menu unless you're collecting 100 rings, or unless you're collecting 100 coins, or unless you're in the Bowser stages. You will spend a lot of time climbing the same tower multiple times over and over and over again. It is not even funny. It's not. Oh, that's just not good game design. I just wanted to get this out of the way because I knew people would be asking me, why didn't you talk about Rainbow Road? Why didn't you talk about Tick-Tock Clock? I just needed to talk about these things. I just need to shit on them too. No. Now let's move on to the final. Here we are. The end of the game. These stairs are very infamous. They are endless if you don't have 70 stars. If you do, well, they're not. they're really short. But let's get into the final stage of the game, Bowser in the Sky. This is a climactic, epic stage. This is the best Mario boss stage in this game. I'd go as far to say this is one of Mario's best 3D stages. Period. I mean, it's better than anything I could make in 3D Mario modding, at the very least. But to be fair, I've never really modded a 3D Mario game before. I've only really done that with 2D Mario, and even then, I only have experience with Mario World. But yeah, let's get back to Mario 64. This level is the most fun in this game. You might hate it, but in my opinion, it's better than every other stage in the game. This stage is really good, really well crafted, and well designed. I'd say it's better than half the games. I'd say it's better than every other stage in 3D Mario history. I mean, 3D Mario is not usually terrible. I'm just saying, this is one of his best levels. But yeah, let me stop gushing and actually talk to you about the actual level for a second. You see, the level is not designed like a 3D level. It's sort of like the 2D, it's sort of like your Sonic boosting game. It's mostly 2D, but you can control the camera and like, it's mostly on a two-dimensional plane, but you kind of can control the camera and you can move in all 360 directions. Plus, you sometimes have to turn in other directions, but most of the time you're turning your camera to the left so that you can see your player character, this character being Mario, in a well format. And this being the final stage, I'd say this is Mario's best stage. And before we get to the boss, I'm just gonna say, Super Mario 64 is definitely a good game. Now, let's move on to the final boss. The end of this 20-minute video. We're finally done. Here we are. Now, let's talk about this boss fight. Let's see. Where should I start? Compared to the last two, this thing has 3 health, and he can send shockwaves. You know, he can send shockwaves which damage you, and that makes this boss a lot more hard. Thankfully, if you do get damaged, you can just wait for... You know what, forget what I just was about to say. Yeah. This boss fight is not very forgiving. He has 3 health. He has much more health than the last 2 bosses. And not only that, he can break the arena in pieces, which makes this boss fight a lot more climactic and epic. Well, if you get hurt, he's always gonna shoot fire, which do drop coins, which you can use to replenish your health. And they're very useful. I remember first beating this game and feeling, oh my god, I'm finally here. And then once he's on his 3rd phase, he straight up destroys the arena, making it much harder for you to get him into it. Get him into one of the mines, which is the gimmick of all You have to be very good with aiming when it comes to Mario. When it comes to 3D Mario, to even do that. And that took me a lot of tries. And yeah. That's it. That's the entire game. Bowser dies. The power stars are all in one big star. And the game is done. You soar off into the distance, thus ending Super Mario 64. So, what are my overall thoughts on Super Mario 64? Well, this game has a bunch of problems, like booting you out of the stage when, collecting one star. The game just not controlling very well in retrospect, and overall it feeling really weird to control. This game, despite all its flaws, is still my favorite 3D Mario game. It is a well-crafted, good experience that I think everyone should play at least once. If you're new to Mario, I'd say this should be your starting point, as the game is simple enough, but also pretty challenging. So if you want a good challenge, while also want to have fun, this is a good way. Also, Mario had voice acting before Sonic, so that makes Mario immediately better, plus based. Now, thank you guys all for watching. I will see you all again sometime soon. This game is now over. And yeah, I'm gonna tell you this. Expect more uploads weekly. From now on, I release videos on Saturdays. Now, just forget. And please subscribe, like, and share, and comment. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. And, yeah. Just have a great day.
so much for to playing my game.